is. I think
it does look a little dark, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks dark. Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks on Historic Route 66 with our always special VIP guest, Brian Lee, the test geek in flesh form.
Yes.
We'll take care of some housekeeping, and then we'll see if we can help you with some content. Tell us what series exam you're taking, where you're joining us from. Listen, you're not alone. We have a lot of communities. We have a Facebook group, Baby Brokers Doing Hat Tricks. Baby Broker is a term of endearment for rookies in the securities industry. Even Brian and I were baby brokers at one time. Hat trick is 3 successes in a row. Think SIE 663, SIE 766. You get the idea. Hard to believe, Brian. We're getting like 100 members a week on that thing. We're up to 3,600 members. Just amazing. We also have some subreddits. We have a subreddit for the SIE and Series 7, our Series 7. We have a subreddit for the Series 6. We have a subreddit for NASAA exams, 63, 65, 66. We have a subreddit for 9s, 10s, and 24s. So check out one of those test-taking tribes and feel free to join us there. If you're looking for a free supplement, I think my YouTube channel is the best free supplement out there. There's no upsells of any kind. There's no channel memberships. There's no coffee cups. There's no baseball caps. There's just a lot of good free content for you. I've designed it around series playlists. So if you're taking the 66, for example, the first playlist is a podcast series that Brian and I did on the 66. Those podcast series give you a nice overview of the terrain, kind of like a good way to recon on what it looks like start to finish. And then we usually have a playlist of lectures, a playlist of practice tests and questions. It's a buffet. Take what you like, leave what you don't. But if you're going to binge, that's the way to do it. Listen, there's 2,500 videos there with, I don't know, tens of thousands of hours of content. Use the channel search bar. Put accrued interest or margin or per stirpes, whatever it is, and all that content will magically appear. Brian and I are going to get asked tonight questions we've asked and answered in video form that lives forever. It's okay. We'll do it again. But if you're looking for a particular topic, use that search bar. Now, if you're looking for a paid supplement, I just had Brian, I get this all the time. Can I pass with Brian's Test Geek supplement and a Kaplan QBank? And the answer is no. Brian and I provide supplements, a bridge from your paid study materials to the actual exam. I highly recommend a Kaplan QBank as a paid supplement, as well as Brian's overview. He's a master at distillation of all that material. With the Kaplan QBank 7, for example, it's $55.80 with my Guru 15 discount code. You get 3,600 practice questions, performance opportunities with a performance tracker that helps you do remediation very well. And the Brian, all in on his video courses, he's been kind enough to give our viewers a 20% discount, Guru 20, and that brings it all in about $100. You can buy a la carte from Brian. I don't recommend it, but all in is the video series, a PDF with some quick notes or class notes or cheat sheets, whatever he calls them, and I think the best practice test in terms of correlation, bar none. So consider those two as a good investment in yourself, not a time to be frugal. Now, if you win the coaching call tonight, you do not win tutoring at a date and time of your choice. Let's be very clear about that. I get completely sold out on tutoring, and I try to provide some access through my booking page. Almost nothing on my booking page is free. The coaching call, if you want it, is there. You go to the class tab. You'll find it there at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com, and I show up and we talk about whatever you want to talk about as a winner. We have a weekly Q&A jam session there that's free for everybody. Again, you go to Dean Tinney if you want to sign up for that. And we also have a book club. We finally found our title for our next book club meeting, and the book we'll be talking about is Streetwise by Lloyd Blankfein, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs. So that stuff is free there too. Sometimes I open up my office hours for paid students to people who aren't paid students, just again to give somebody a little access. Okay, let's see now. Do we take care of all our housekeeping? I believe we did. So let's now, if you have a question, help us out. Brian and I can sometimes figure out what your question is about based on the context, but it's helpful if you tell us what exam you're asking us about, for example, SIE or S7 with a capital Q, followed by your question, because that'll make it easier for us to answer your question. There's a lot of overlap, and the kind of answer I'm going to give you on the SIE is going to be completely different than the kind of answer I'm going to give you if you're taking a 24, for example. All right, let's see what we got going on, Brian.
Let's do it.
Now, you said you're going to Hawaii Saturday.
Maui. Yeah. Yep.
So I imagine that means you won't be with us next Tuesday.
Correct. Sorry.
No problem. Oh, tonight's testing victory cigar, assuming we have a testing victory, is a Perdomo 30th anniversary. Hopefully somebody passes. And we did a Booker's, Brian, and it's almost empty. So, I figure, one of my pet peeves, are you this way, Brian? I hate going in a bar and seeing a bottle that isn't, looks like they don't have enough money to replace it. So, I already got another bottle, so maybe we'll get rid of that bottle. All right. Hola, ¿cómo está? Jolly. Let's talk tomorrow. I hear about your misfortune. Let's talk about what we're going to do to take care of that and remedy that. So, hola, ¿cómo está? I just want to thank you for all your. I passed the SIE a week ago. Woo! Onto the 65. Ooh, now I don't want to put out negative vibes, but that 65 is an entirely different dragon than the SIE dragon. So that breathes fire. So, but hey, we'll deal with it when we get there, right? Let me get our toasting beverage and our victory cigar lit up. Brian, you still haven't gone to New Orleans.
I know.
I'm going to be there April 17th through 20th for the Premium Cigar Association. I invested in that cigar lounge. Wow. And I told the guy as part of that, I want to go to the cigar dealer trade show. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. If Marcel, you're here, I'll be in your neck of the woods April 17th through 20th. All right, let's get this thing lit. Friday night, I'm going to a Perdomo event. And so, Brian, I told people I'm doing my homework, or maybe we should call it smoke work, before we have our Perdomo event. This is that's pretty yummy. All right. On to the 65. Hi, Dean. I've been using the performance tracker on Kaplan. Been watching your videos. Brian and I are such a believer, Jacob, in that performance tracker, because it helps you identify areas for remediation. So we love that. Watching the videos, remediation, I love it. You're speaking our love language.
It certainly is.
Love it. Is my nose show like it's busted? Because I had a pee pad down for the dog. We had snow here, Brian, and I caught that pad and I slipped. Took a header, knocked my head and was bleeding, and I think my nose is still kind of messed up. I got a cracked rib. Damn puppy. I tell you what, that puppy is a pain in the butt. All looks good. Jacob, I love that.
Love the scores.
No, we wish we had a whole feed of posts like that, Jacob. I think you're right where you need to be. Just stick the landing. That's wonderful. Joining from Oregon, 65 next month. So Olivia, again, Brian and I, we don't want to put out negative vibes, but that 65 is a real challenge. It's a lot. It doesn't have a narrative thread, and it's a lot of stuff. So I like next month. Where are you at in your present study effort? Have you read the book yet? Are you doing quizzes? Where are you at? Let us know where you're at on that journey.
PNW.
What's that?
Pacific Northwest.
Oh, there you go. Well, is that like your own little gang you guys got going on out there? Oh, all right, I like it. You have like any secret signs?
No.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. I spent some time in Oklahoma. Series 7. All right. Cherokee D. I like that. Hey, Dean and Brian. Well, I got to tell my Oklahoma story. So, when they were going to shoot the gun to go claim your 40 acres for homesteading, that's why they're called the Sooners. The Sooners were the people who didn't wait for the gun, and they went and staked their claim early. And so, Brian, you had a 40-acre piece picked out. You get there, I'm already there. And I said, Brian, you didn't wait for the gun, did you? Oh, well, that was silly. You should have not done that. So in our business, we call that gun jumping. Gun jumping is when somebody is trading ahead of where they should be. So I always think of the Oklahoma Sooners when I think of gun jumping as it relates to our business. Hi, Dean and Brian. I passed my SIE 2 months ago, taking the 7 in 3 weeks. I'm using Kaplan. I love it. Would love some explication I'm not sure, Adam. I had a lot of explication requests today, and I put up 7 or 8 of them. Let me write that down. The only reason I don't want to do it in the live stream is I'm not competent enough to be comfortable that I might not accidentally kick us all off the live stream. So 156-4-207. I'll tell you what. So when we're done with the live stream tonight, I will post a video explication of that. I will help you with any explication request from any vendor, but it's easier for me to do it if it's Kaplan because I have access to the Kaplan Q Bank backstage, and you just need to give me the QID. If you have some other thing you'd like help on, Past Perfect or Notman or STC, then you got to cut and paste it because I don't know what you're looking at. If you send me their QID, I'm going to say I have no idea what that's about. So Adam, either tonight or first thing in the morning, you'll see a video. I put up like 7 or 8. We had a lot of explication requests. So I was telling Brian I spent most of the day fulfilling those requests. And so I still got a bunch of the queue I'm trying to get done. All right. So let's see. I took care of that. Adam, if you want, I don't know if you want to stick around until we're done. But when we're done, if you want me to try and pull that up, I will be more than happy to try and do that. I need to learn how to do it anyways. I just don't want to accidentally kill the live stream. Taking the SIE Thursday morning, could you give me a rundown on what can affect or change the NAV? Don't get in the weeds on this, Callie. The main thing is the securities in the portfolio going up and down. That's the main thing, right? They try and distract you with a lot of other stuff. Can I break it down further? Well, distributions, right? But that's coming back to you. So that would not be it. It's mainly the securities going up and down when we mark to market every day. Brian, your thoughts on getting the NAV?
That's exactly right.
Particularly,
that might be a little deeper for the SIE.
I think so. I actually think so. I think probably on the SIE, it's mainly going to be recognition that the NAV plus the sales charge equals the POP. 8.5% is the max for a loaded fund. 12B1 fee, and still refer to yourself as no load, is 1/4 1%, 0.25. No circumstance over 0.75. Do you know we have to calculate the NAV at least once per business day? We're always doing business based on the next calculation of the NAV called forward pricing. That's much different than an ETF or a closed-end fund. So mainly recognition that you own proportion ownership in a portfolio of securities. So I wouldn't overdose on that, Callie. I do have, if you put in and I'm worried about this Thursday morning, this is Tuesday, so we got to be careful. I call it the Hippocratic Oath that physicians have. Brian and I, as tutors, practice the Hippocratic Oath, which is first do no harm. And so we don't, with the remaining time, want to send you down some kind of rabbit hole. That being said, if you put NAV into the channel search bar, all kinds of content will come up on that. And you can see me and students doing, NAV to the sun comes up. Taking the 7 on Friday. Are there any areas been tested recently to be underrepresented on Kaplan? No, if anything, Kaplan, I don't think anybody accuses Kaplan of underrepresenting anything. I think if Kaplan, I would put Kaplan and Past Perfect in this basket. It's a good basket. It's better to have too much than not enough. Abundance is better than scarcity. But if anything, Kaplan and Past Perfect, I think, overrepresent certain topics. So that's what I would say. And those certain topics are margin, partnerships, for example. So I would be more worried about overrepresentation than under. Brian, your thoughts on that? I haven't heard anything new.
It's a pretty good question, actually.
Yeah, I like it.
But now Series 7 is a fairly stable exam.
It is.
There isn't a whole lot of stuff that I don't think either Dean or I have heard that hasn't been showing up.
How many times do we get this, Brian, where people ask us, like, I have videos on my channel that are 4 years old. Is this still current?
I get it all the time.
If it wasn't current, we would take it down. It's the stock is a stock. A bond is a bond is a bond.
That's the speech I've given a million times. Right? Stocks are stocks, bonds are bonds, options are options. That stuff never changes. Yeah.
Hi, Dean and Brian. Started studying late January, started doing the practice quiz this week. I test March 19th. You think I'm okay with this timeline? Jeff, I'm trying to remember what exam you were taking. 65 a year ago. 4th attempt. Wow. Where are we at now? February. You got about 4 weeks out. I'd like a practice test score.
Right.
So I don't think we need to. We can put much faith into practice quizzes. So what I'd like you to do is do a practice test. Hopefully, one you haven't seen. Maybe Brian's. Maybe if you have another vendor, do some questions you haven't seen. Let's do an intellectual inventory and see what that practice test score is and circle back. Jeff, feel free to join me in the coaching call to share that with me, or send me an email. I apologize, but the best way to contact me is in a coaching call or an office hour or the book club. I get hundreds of unsolicited emails, and it's impossible for me to respond to them and voicemail. So I apologize. I had a guy book tutoring, and he said, I just booked tutoring so I can talk to you. That's a wonderful idea, because now I'm yours for an hour and we can talk. But you have my permission to sign up for my office hour coaching call and share with me how you're doing. You're Jeff.
Yeah, that prior comment that we just saw, the gentleman or the lady was going through simulated exams, performance tracker, remediating the weak areas. Everybody take note of that, please.
That is the process.
That's what you need to do.
That is the process. Passing this test is not a function of being smart. It's a function of being dedicated, disciplined, and organized. Now, whatever those ingredients you're missing, you need to add, load up on the other, right? If you're not organized, you're going to need more dedication, more discipline, right? If you're organized, maybe you can get less dedication, but it's dedication, it's discipline, and organization, and the process that will get you to get, as Brian says, the P, that you get to slay the dragon. Now, it's still a challenge, particularly 65, 10s, 7s. I'm not saying these exams are not challenging, but the way to take down these exams is to have a process. I was doing a office hour today, Brian, and I caught myself making a mistake because I had a process.
Right.
If you don't have a process, then you don't know if you messed up, right? So, woo, yeah, you should be good, Callie. You should be good to go. Excellent. With your help, I've asked I forgot to ring the bell for
Oh, no.
I got so excited about my cigar and my bourbon that I forgot to ring the bell. Oh, my goodness. Mid-July, what would you recommend I start saying for the test? Well, gee, if you're not mid-July, I don't know why you're waiting until mid-July. I'm not your corporate person. But I would say, Christy, once you slay a dragon, just keep slaying them. So I would want you to wait till mid-July to take your 7. But if that is what you're going to do, I'd refresh and reset. I don't think it's going to be productive to be studying and stay powered up until mid-July. So assuming you're not going to move that date up, which I recommend, and you're going to go mid-July, 8 weeks out. So what would that be? May. I about 8 weeks out would start powering up. Your thoughts on this, Brian?
Yeah. Notice they've done it the reverse way.
Yeah, Christy. We don't recommend that, but I know there are I shouldn't say vendor, broker dealers that are doing that. And I hate to say it, Brian, but I think it's because they're cheap. And I think they want Christy to prove herself with a sweat equity investment on her SIE and her 66. And I hope I'm not right about that. And I'd be willing to apologize if that's not the case, but it's in chronological order for a particular reason. So we're getting lots of this. So I think there must be a couple large firms who have changed their way they're going about it. Brian, what you think about mid-July, though? Would you encourage her to do that?
No. We start right now.
Yeah. I would really want to take 6 to 8 weeks from now. And kudos being a part-time studier and making your mark. I know how difficult, challenging that is. But my recommendation would be, we don't want to wait around until mid-July, because that Series 7 dragon's in his cave getting fatter and breathing more fire. And I think we just, once we're on a roll on these things, we should continue to roll. I call it that hat trick.
And once summer comes along,
oh my God,
with our friends and our family,
June and July. Oh yeah.
Get that 7 out of the way.
But as we say, it's a buffet. Take what you like, leave what you don't.
Yeah.
Right. Boom, boom, boom. 63 in the 80s, all chapters except exempt transactions and securities. Well, I don't think that's going to kill you. Just can't seem to down different puzzle people on any advice. Yes, I do. The big distinction between exempt transactions, that's a verb, and it's how we're selling it that makes it exempt. It wouldn't otherwise be exempt, right? So I'm selling, for example, I'm doing a private placement, right? It's not a public distribution of securities. And the way I'm selling it, not to a public distribution, makes it exempt. Exempt securities is a noun. It's a list of securities that don't need to be registered through coordination or qualification, right? So it's an exempt transaction, a verb. Exempt securities, the issuer is exempt, right? So just can't seem to tackle questions. So when you read the question, what you want to do is say, now I like Brian's version of this better, and maybe I'm stealing his thunder a little bit, but I actually think it's the reverse that's important. So Brian says non-exempt securities is a corporate security. There we go. And that needs to be registered unless it's sold through an exempt transaction. I think I just nailed the whole 63 there on that part. I'm joking, but what do you think on this one, Brian?
Absolutely. Wonderful. 80% on your quizzes. It's time to take a simulated exam now. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where, if you want our advice, that's where it's going to come from. We're going to say, take the simulated exam, run the performance tracker.
Yeah, Jake, you need to do an intellectual inventory. Here's why, Jake. Brian and I, well, I'll say me first, and I think Brian will concur with me. We think people go down a rabbit hole as it relates to this, and they miss the bigger picture, which is much more testable about disclosures, unethical business practices, registration of the broker-dealer and agent of the broker-dealer. So, and you find out the nature of that by doing a practice test. So I'm totally with Brian on that. Do a complete practice test and see if this jams you up. I don't think it will, by the way. Series 766, going to do my CE on FINRA NASAA. Is there any CE I can do? Yeah, that you get to double dip. You get very testable on those of you taking 65, 66. Yeah. Very testable on that you need 12 units or hours of CE, 6 on product and 6 on ethical practices. You can't double dip on the ethical part of it, but you can double dip on the FINRA product stuff. So you do need to do CE for your 66. NASAA has a template. Not every state has adapted it yet, but you do get tested on the template, and the template is 12 hours. Brian, your thoughts on CE?
I was just going to say the same thing. 65, 66, listen up.
Yeah, very testable.
6 hours on product, 6 hours on ethics. If you get 15 hours, the 3 hours do not.
Yeah, and one more test point, you can't roll them over. So if you do 9, you don't get to roll a 3. There's no bank where you're CE. Good day, Brian and Dean. Just wanted you to know, pass the SIE. Woo! Thanks to the good Lord. And yeah, I mean, it's a blessing for sure. We just had somebody complete their entire testing sequence, Antonio. And I just think it's a blessing for sure, because our securities industry can be a blessing to you and your family, as well as a blessing to others, helping them accomplish their financial freedom. So any advice on how to tackle it? Well, I would tell you this. I wish we got to talk to people before they took their SIE and initiated their stuffing effort, because I would like you to overlearn that. There's a lot of overlap on that 6. So I think it's going to look familiar to you, but still respect each and every exam in and of itself. But pay attention to customer accounts, pay attention to disclosures again, variable annuities, mutual funds. I don't think you're going to find anything there that's too foreign. Your thoughts on that, Brian?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you got it.
So we're looking for another testing victory for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. I don't want to put pressure on you, Antonio, but I'm just thinking, Brian, have we anecdotally heard of anybody who, I think the vast majority of people who pass the SIE pass the 6?
It's a very large percentage.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah. So, I do have your paid supplement for the 66. Great. Well, the exempt transactions would be just as crucial for the 63. Yeah, we would want you to use 63 content, but yeah, this Uniform Securities Act, Jake, is the Uniform Securities Act. So I would say that you're not going to have as much a heavy emphasis on registration of investment advisors and investment advisor reps on 63. But other than that, it's the same stuff.
Yeah, it's predominantly, the 63 is predominantly broker dealer and agent, as opposed to.
Do you have Brian, a 63 like class notes?
I sure do.
This is not an offer that Brian is even making. I make it on his behalf only to Jake. Yeah. But Jake, why don't you send Brian an email and just ask him for his PDF on the 63, and that way, you're not trying to, repurpose Brian's 66, and I don't think that's a good idea, right? Now, if you're listening and you send Brian an email, that's $40 or something for the PDF, right? If you wanted that,
yeah, 39,
whatever it is. Yeah. You should be all in. But so, Jake, that's what I would do. I don't want you to try and repurpose Brian's stuff. Taking the 65 next month, failed the 66 by point. A nice guy. I like that as a plan B. We think that's a great plan B. I don't know when you failed the 66, but I tell people when they fail that 66, particularly by 1 point. I had a guy, Vince, one of my favorite students here the last 12 months, and I knew he knew it well. I said, I don't know what happened. You change the answers. What the hell happened? I said, but I think you could take the 63, 65. He failed on a Thursday. Take the 63 on a Tuesday and take the 65 on a Wednesday, and you're back in business. Yep. And he did exactly that. So I'm just hoping you're not taking too much time from your 66 misfortune to past the 63. Love it. So what do you think I should focus on most? Well, the biggest difference is going to be more economics and financial source of financial information. But I'm not sure why we're waiting until next month. Do you think next month, Brian? I would want to.
No, that's way too long. I don't think.
I think we should go. We should go.
Give the Q bank on the 65.
Yeah.
That way you have simulated exams for the Series 65. Yeah. That would probably very quickly tell you where any deficiencies.
Yeah, go get the Kaplan Q bank. 20% discount or 15 is Guru 15 at checkout. I love that, Brian. Great thing. Get that as a supplement. Do a practice test and see how similar it is. As you can tell, everybody who's telling us they got these test dates that are out there, Brian and I are saying no. Move them up, get it done. Finish the book. Love it. Starting practice test tomorrow. Love it. Looks like you're right where you need to be, Olivia. So I just, again, warms our heart when people say they finished reading the book, because Olivia, some people never even do that. So we're excited about that. Don't put too much weight in the data from that first practice test, because, it's just a starting point. So ideally, we want you to be in the mid 70s, but that could be a destination. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, reading the book, you're going to be there. So, but love where you're at. Love that. The 66 on Monday, we're sending you some good testing vibes, right? So, Alicia, I hope you're feeling confident. Confidence is worth 10 points. I want you every night and every morning, starting today. I want you to go into the bathroom. I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest 66 test taker of them all? Alicia, Alicia, Alicia. Hoorah! I also want you to do that at the testing site on Monday. I want you to go into their bathroom in the morning, do the same thing, and during a halfway, question 50, do it again. 100% pass rate on mirror, mirror on the wall. So try that out. Any tips on NPV and internal rates of return? Yeah, well, Alicia, I do. I just posted a video today, a very good video on net present value. The first thing is to know net always means difference. Mm-hmm. Net means difference. So net present value is the difference between the price and the present value, right? So I call Brian. I say, hey, Brian, I know that besides being a test geek, you're kind of a math geek as well. And listen, I have a 10-year bond with 6% coupon. I understand I'm going to get $30 every 6 months. I'm getting 20 payments of 30. I too, Brian, understand that the $30 this next payment is worth more than the $30 I'm getting 10 years from today. And I understand I'm getting $1,000 at maturity or redemption. But what I'm interested in, Brian, is can you do a DCF for me? DCF, discount cash flow, is a valuation technique. And Brian, I want you to use that valuation technique and tell me what the present value is. And so he calls me back. He says, Dean, using DCF, the present value of the bond is $900. He said, why are you asking? I said, well, I'm considering buying it, Brian, and I want to know if there's a good deal or a bad deal, or if this thing's efficiently priced. And so you told me it's 900, and damn, it's trading at 940. It has negative net present value. Looks like it's overvalued. I think I'm going to take a pass. Thanks for doing that math for me. Or I say, hey, Brian, good news. I can pick up the bond for 88. $880. I found a free lunch. $20 of positive net present value. The bond is undervalued. He said, Dean, what's the price of the bond? I say 900. There is no net difference, right? That's when the present value is the same as the DCF valuation. There, that means on the test, it's fairly priced or it's efficiently priced. But check out my video that I posted today or yesterday, and I think it's a very good rundown on NPV. I think of internal rate of return as the bridge from present value to future value. So I say, hey, Brian, if you invest $10 million in my private equity fund, and we are targeting internal rates of return of 20%, here's what your 10 million will look at the exit 7 years from now. So that's how I think of internal rate of return. On the test, it could also be the yield to maturity, right? Which turns the price you paid from the bond, that yield to maturity. So, Brian, your thoughts on those two? They're definitely going to be there on the 65 and the 66 for sure.
Not to a great extent on the 65, but they are on there, right? That's the link that I try to get everybody to understand, is that the IRR, the internal rate of return, is what gets you the present value equal to some future value. When they're equal, the net present value is zero. And that's where you want to be, at least zero or positive, not negative, as Dean just described. And internal rate of return gets us at least to zero.
And Alicia, we should tell you that Brian and I are always trying to simplify things. And so we take a little grief sometimes from CFAs and people with PhDs in modern portfolio theory. They don't like our teeter-totters, our seesaws, our, whatever. Well, Mr. Sony Toprano, I love it. $4.99. All right. Thanks for the super chat. If you have a question, we'll move you right to the top. That's how you jump to the front of the queue. Just put a super chat in there. Oh, I got a question. I didn't see you got a question. I got so excited about the $4.99. Got tips for advertising. No, I don't. Brian, what do you think? Advertising as it relates to the 65?
Yeah, it's there. There's no doubt it's there.
I think the disclosures. I think the disclosures is the most important thing about the advertising. About is there an affiliated broker dealer? Past performance is not indicative of future results. I'm struggling a little bit because there's a difference on the test between advertising and testimonials and endorsements, and I think that would be a different thing. So I apologize. Spam. All right. Series 7 question. Thank you, Jake. Look, you put it in the proper format for us. Taking the exam on Thursday, February 26th. Got a 74 on the mastery. Love it. Love it.
Wow.
Most of it going to be margin and judgment. Judgment, about 10% of the exam is judgment questions. So, the three styles of question are recognition, practical application, and judgment. You're never going to get all the judgment questions right because it depends who wrote it. Even yours truly misses judgment questions. I miss them all the time on like asset allocation because I always put too much equity into the mix, for example. Margin, I'm not worried about at all. Margin, 2, 3, 4 questions. If you tell us you missed your mark because of margin, we're going to say no. You had much bigger problems elsewhere. And those are pretty linear or straightforward. So I think you're in good shape. That says should. Am I missing something here? Should. Am I missing part of the banner?
No, that's what I got. Yeah.
Just got to say, okay, well, should. I don't know what comes after should. I'll take a guess. Should you do more margin? Absolutely not. Waste of your time.
Yeah.
Judgment. I think judgments are tough. And the way you have a better chance at judgment questions is to be really strong on what leads to making the judgment decision, right? It's hard to exercise good judgment in anything if you don't have a base. So I'm not sure how much base you need to lay. Just so you know, the Kaplan Mastery, Jake, has variance in your favor. When Kaplan could track passing scores, now we can't, Kaplan can't because you don't get a score if you pass. But the variance on the Mastery was from 5 to 12 points in your favor. So you're looking good. I don't think any problem past making your mark.
It's a phenomenal score for the Mastery exam.
I think so. I think so. And we're not, Brian and I see a score like that on a Kaplan Mastery. We're going to be surprised if you don't make your mark. How can you clean this up? Well, there's I guess the second part of it. I don't think it's easy to clean up, and we think you're where you need to be. I just told you I wouldn't worry about cleaning up the margin at all. I think your time is better spent elsewhere. A judgment, I think, can be cleaned up by reading the rationale and what was somebody else's judgment. Now, I would warn you on Series 7, the subject matter expert is a guy named Bill James. And I could read his 2-paragraph judgment on a question and say, yeah, right. So I don't want you sucking up to a judgment question. I would be more concerned, can you articulate why you said that was the answer? And defend it is what I'd be more concerned than trying to kiss up to somebody else's subjective judgment question. Right? Your thoughts on that, Brian?
Well put. Well put. That's exactly right. Judgment usually are suitability questions. And Dean and I both strongly believe that those judgment suitability questions come from a strength in your investment product knowledge. Knowing stocks, knowing bonds, knowing options.
And I heard somebody today too, Brian, and they unfortunately, I had to explain to her that her answer based on the real world is not wrong. It's just not the best answer for the test.
Been there.
Again, fine line. I said, I don't want you sucking up to the exam. But the reason your answer is wrong is because you're bringing extra stuff into the question that's not there. Right. It was a question about increasing the issuing bonds increases the leverage of the corporation. And she took issue because she said, well, they could be raising equity in tandem with that. I go, well, where's that in the question? Yeah, but what do they meant? They don't. I said, you're bringing too much in. The question is about leverage. So, it's a miss. It's not a miss if you were a banker, but it's a miss if you're taking a test. Oh, I love it. I love it. I think you're going to be, it's not recommended. Brian and I have said over and over again, we are supplements. But I have many people who pass the SIE and tell me they just use my channel. I always say, not recommended. The channel is, a supplement like Brian. Shouldn't be trying to get cheap and buy Brian's $100 version of the distillation of the study materials to the test and skip that primary study material. So, but we're sending you good vibes. Good vibe, Yarson. I like it. That all looks good. 75.38, 76.92. Let's just round and call that 75 and 77. On my last two reactions, what should I be doing in the last few days? So I would say, how many more marks are we going to take? I wouldn't want you doing more than one a day, and I don't think you need to do one every day. I'd like to continue to remediate and lay more base and see if we can't maybe do 2 or 3 more. I'd be happy with 2 or 3 and see if we can't get those. You're right where you need to be, by the way. That's where we want you to be. But see if we can move those a little higher and get us some more margin of safety. I don't believe in doing quizzes unless it's a function of remediation at this point. Right. So, we're simpatico, Brian.
It's just over and over and over. I do this every single day. Yeah. Simulated exams, great scores, by the way. That's really where you want to be.
Right on.
Do the performance tracker, find your weak areas, use our videos, Dean's, mine's, whomever, right, to remediate those weak areas. Then you take another simulated exam. Simulated exams, to me, are almost useless unless you combine it with remediating.
Yeah. So, John, we get all kinds of people who think that they're doing practice tests for something other than intellectual inventory, intellectual ownership, identifying areas for remediation. And they think if they just go a zillion practice exams, somehow they're going to learn through osmosis and missing questions. That's not the point.
Dean, it's changed a little bit over the years, hasn't it? Before they had these performance trackers, really the simulated exams were all that you had.
Yeah.
That performance tracker is worth every penny of the QBank's cost.
Yeah.
It revolutionized what we do and has increased success throughout the industry.
Love it. Antonio, well, I'm glad to hear that. Mighty 90. So this is funny. When I started the channel, Antonio, all the people and social media experts told me nobody's going to watch a video that's longer than 15 minutes. I'm an old school guy. All I knew how to do was hit play and record. And I'm kind of like a Brian guy in those days, stand and deliver with a whiteboard. Yeah. And so that's what I decided I was going to record. Yeah. And so unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know you could monetize things. I had no clue. I just thought, well, COVID's coming and I doubt I'm ever going to teach a live class again. What am I going to do? And then I came up with your series, whatever, in 60 minutes. They proved extremely popular. I have 300,000 views on some of those videos. And then I think it's a form of flattery. I got copycats. Ken Finnan came out with what he calls his power hour, which is a copycat of my 60-minute videos. And then I thought, well, Antonio, people like 60 minutes. Why not 90 minutes? And so we now you're not going to learn the information the night before with either my 60-minute videos or my 90-minute video overviews, but I'm hoping it'll help you get in a flow, because it's not a natural circadian rhythm to go take a test. I'm actually now, Antonio, going back the other direction and doing what I call a dirty 30. So we'll have all these different versions. They're not the same videos, by the way. I get people telling me, oh, well, it's the same video. It's not. That means they haven't watched both of them. Now, listen, again, I have 2,500 videos. You should not watch all my videos because you'll be here for a year. You want to cherry pick. I've organized it through playlists. I have a cram course for each of the exams. I have a playlist for these 90, 60-minute videos. So give some thought about how you're going to use the channel as a supplement. Now, that's why I also like Brian in companion with my free channel, because he does that for you. It's distillation. And I usually tell people, Brian, to buy your course like 8-9 days out and then save those videos and watch that. As soon as they get done executing, reading the book and doing their quizzes and then, okay, we're 7-10 days out, then binge on Brian's videos and, his PDF. And that's kind of when I think they should be using you, Brian, as a supplement on that back nine, so to speak, as they get closer to the exam. You're welcome. I'm not sure what CJ is saying thank you for, but whatever it is, you're welcome. You should buy long-term bonds. That's why long-term bonds have been rising, because they think the Fed's going to lower that, right? I joke, Fund 7, if anybody asks you about finance, economics, and investments, and you want to sound smart, you should say it has a lot to do with interest rates. And if they say, what about them? You say they fluctuate. They say, is that good news or bad news? You say it depends. Can you tell me more? The longer you can go without answering that, the smarter you're going to sound. And then you can say, I'm watching the Fed. Some people are a wheel watcher. They watch the Wheel of Fortune. I watch the Fed. And the Fed has said that, well, there's not a consensus yet. But, if they lower interest rates, your long-term bonds are going to become more volatile or more valuable. So it's buying long-term bonds. It looks like Brian has his board. Let me give him his board.
Very quickly, just to reiterate, right? I believe Fund 7, you know that long-term bonds are more volatile than short-term bonds. Now, a lot of times people just think of that as, oh, they're going to go down the most. Well, volatile means change. That means they can go up as well as go down. So we know about the inverse relationship. So if interest rates go down, long-term bonds being more volatile will go up far more than short-term bonds. Done.
Yeah, and Brian, a lot of times people miss the change-up questions because they get so used to thinking it's going to be negative instead of positive. And they miss it because, I got it. Now, remember, the way to answer this question, I would just add a couple more things, Brian. On the test, if I ask you, I might give you an answer set with some bond choices about volatility.
Right.
And the way you get that right is you go long and low. You go to the longest maturity and the lowest coupon. So if you go to longest maturity, whether it's up or down based on interest rates, right? Brian's point about volatility. And then the tiebreaker is going to be that coupon. So if I have like a 30-year treasury or 30-year strip, it's going to be the strip. One more point I would add to those people taking the 65 or 66, same concept, but on those exams, they call it duration. But you wouldn't miss any questions if you just translate duration to be volatility, right? Higher duration means more volatility.
Yep.
So boom. Like that one. That was a good one. SI in a few days, I'm super nervous. Well, nothing to be nervous about. I mean, I don't think there's other things that could be more challenging. I think the way to handle the nervousness is to overlearn and be confident. So I Sensei would like some more data to see if this is just your own brain that is making you anxious or nervous, or if there's a reason to be anxious or nervous. And so if you could provide us some data maybe on how you're doing on practice tests, where you're at, and we could tell you whether it's in your own mind or it's something you need to be concerned about. Take my first attempt, 2 practice exams, love it. Pass perfect, even better. So pass perfect, the variance is much in your favor. So I love it. Let's see. Any advice, my friend? Yeah. My advice is stay the course. You should be fine. I'd be awful surprised if you don't make your mark with those scores, particularly on pass perfect. Your thoughts on this one, Brian?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Again, as we said, run a performance tracker. I think Pass Perfect has it as well. Remediate the weak areas.
You're right where you need to be, my friend.
But right, it's good scores, strong scores.
Can you go over the tax implications and holding period of gifts received? How can I memorize the cost basis of the donors, the fair market value? Well, Olivia, I was going to do a lecture, still am at some point, on dead people. And I was thinking, how am I going to title this so it won't be crass? I put it on the chat GPT, and it came up with The Afterlife of Money. What a great title, The Afterlife of Money. So there are two scenarios on the test you get tested on. One is grandma dies and granddaughter inherits the securities. The other is grandma gifts the securities. Both of those are very testable. So in the situation in which grandma dies, there's a step up in the basis. So the way I do this, Brian, is with my nephew. I got 1,000 shares of Apple at $260. That's my cost basis. I donate, I give it to my nephew, right? He assumes my cost base, my holding period. If I die and Apple's now 300, that's going to be my nephew's. There's going to be a step up in the basis. Let me get Brian his board here for you, Olivia.
Yeah,
they're both
illustrating exactly what you said, Dean. I like to do it visually because I'm such a visual
geek. Of course. We love having your board and the visual part of it for sure.
So exactly, he said 100 shares at 1,000 shares at 20.
Yeah, Google it.
$260,000. Yeah. She dies. Her niece inherits it. So there's the step up. This is now the new cost basis because she inherited. Now, if grandma's still alive and gives the money to her niece or whomever, right? She's still alive. That's not the cost basis. That is. So that's now a huge capital gain. This, right, is the step up in cost basis. There is no step up when gifting. Done.
Yeah, love it. And both of that, Olivia, that is testable for sure.
They certainly are. Yeah.
Passed my SI 3 weeks ago with the help of your videos. Thank you. You're welcome. But why am I feeling the 6 is harder? I don't know. Maybe you got testing fatigue. I don't know. It shouldn't be. Suitable products to people. Yeah, mutual funds. I think suitability is. Well, I'll say it this way: we're trying to match the investment objective of the fund with the investment objective of the client, and there is truth in labeling in a mutual fund. So a lot of times it's given away on the title of the fund. It's a global fund. It's a growth fund. It's a bond fund, for example. And so, then I would apply that to my customer. I say, oh, Brian, you're into growth and I have a growth mutual fund. So match the fund with the person, right? Brian, your thoughts on suitability as it relates to mutual funds?
That's exactly right. So what Dean is saying is not only the title of the mutual fund, which is actually a really big hint for you, but as we've said for Series 7 and every other exam, know your products, the stocks inside that mutual fund, the bonds inside the mutual fund. What do they pay us? How do we make money on stocks? Is it common stock? Is it preferred stock? Corporate bonds, muni bonds? Know those products. You've already got a good base for that from the SIE. That's where it all begins. Know your products as best you can.
Yeah. And there's no, I don't think I just, every person is unique and their situation is unique. That being said, I don't think that should be the case. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's not typical that somebody gets to the 6 and goes, oh my goodness, this is too much. So
yeah.
Passed my SIE almost 4 years ago, 63, a few months ago, lost sponsor for failing 3 times. Should I go for the 65 with no sponsor? Why not, Salvador? I mean, who knows? If I have human capital in front of me and I'm hiring somebody and you already have a 65, I think that's a difficult exam. It shows that you have initiative. And it does also say that I think you can redeem yourself on the 7. So I'm never opposed to making a sweat equity investment in yourself. And so I can't see why that would not be a good idea. Your thoughts on that one, Brian?
Yeah, I like it too, Dean. I like it too. Yeah.
Can we explain the assumed interest rate? We certainly can. So, when you annuitize an annuity, the way I say it is I say, hey, CJ, when you get your first check, will you call me? And so you call me, you say, hey, Dean, I got my first check for $1,000. Why'd you want to talk to me? I said to CJ, the reason I want to talk to you is because your check next month is either going to be more than 1,000, less than 1,000, or the same based on the assumed interest rate. We won't be an insurance company long if we have an error that we can't think we can get, the law of large numbers and all that. You say, well, what is it? What's the assumed interest rate? I say, CJ, I don't want to tell you because it would just cloud your mind. It doesn't matter. What matters is if we get more than the error, the check goes up. Now, if the check goes up, we're not going to bounce you around and retire them a whole bunch. And so when we annuitize, from an accounting perspective, we're turning your accumulation units into annuity units. And so when you get your next month's check, call me. You say, Dean, I got 1,020. I said, well, that means we did better than the error. And you go, well, what's the error? I said, I don't want to tell you. It'll just cloud your mind. He said, well, damn it, I want to know. I say, okay, CJ, the error is 4%. Now that I told you the error is 4, that means we got better than 4. It doesn't matter if it's 4.1, doesn't matter if it's 20, doesn't matter. He said, well, I want to know. I said, I don't want to tell you because it'll just cloud your mind. You say, what is it? I say, I'm going to regret telling you we got, 10%. Right? And I say, you want me to call you the third month? I want to call you. I said, yes, I want you to call me every month till the check goes down. My experience has been, CJ, nobody gets it till the check goes down. So you call me third month, you get 1,020 again. That means we got the error, 4%. You call me again, you say, hey, Dean, my check went back to 1,000. And you say, that means we lost money. I said, that doesn't mean that. It means we did get 4. Please note, we could get 3 and your check still goes down. That's positive performance, but that's the law of large averages. I like Brian's visual. He's always great on the visuals. And so he's basically on the board walking you through what I just kind of gave you. What's the 2%, Brian? I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, so these two are performance.
There we go.
If you got 10% on your investments greater than error, your check goes up. Yeah. If your performance is less than error, your check goes down. If it's equal to the error, you get the same amount.
Yeah. And again, it is testable. It is testable. I think that here's another area. I don't know if Brian would agree with me. I think test prep vendors really complicate this. It's not that complicated. Right? So there you go. Maybe one question. Maybe, what do you think? Yeah. Low probability or high probability, Brian?
On the 7, there's a low probability. It may show up once. I have heard of one.
It's one of those ones. If you tell us that you missed your mark because of it, we're going to say,
no way.
You have bigger problems.
Yeah.
Or as we say, not material to your success.
Split screen.
Oh, my bad. Oh, I was doing so good, man. I had a good roll there, my friend. I had a good roll. I'm taking the Series 7 a week, getting 80s and 90s.
Holy crap.
Oh my goodness. What do you recommend to stay fresh? I think I would back off a little bit, take my foot off the pedal a little bit, because you want to be peaking at the right time, right? You're circling the airport, and I don't want you to run out of fuel. So I would cut back a little bit, perhaps, on that. I hardly ever tell somebody to cut back. I'm usually mad and tell them to keep the pedal to the metal. But next in a week, Brian, your thoughts on this? To stay fresh, I think.
Are these practice final exams or just practice quizzes?
Well, he says exams.
I know.
So yeah, give us some more data.
Final score.
Give us some more data here. I would say I would want you to lighten up a little bit. So if I were your corporate trainer, I'd be very happy with those scores. With a week out, I'd say, you know what? Let's cut this practice test down. We got a week. Let's do 2 or 3 more. That's it. Let's do remediation. Let's lay some base, review our notes. We just really want to put the seat backs in the upright position, put the tray up, grab our personal belongings, and, stick the landing, right? So I think you're in a good spot. That's a great spot to be. So, and I feel not good telling somebody to back off a little bit, but burnout is real. And I think if you try and sometimes people just run out of fuel before they get to that, the airfield, right? So that's my recommendation. But you're in a good spot. That's a great one. A hat trick. Woo! And the Lebanon Ellis. Woo! Connor, way to complete the hat trick. You know, Brian, I always say to Connors and others that I come into your life for a reason and a season. The reason is to help you pass your tests. And the season is how long that takes. You know, and looks like our reason and our season is over. You've matriculated. A little melancholy there, but that's the nature of what Brian and I do, right? And then we hope that now you're fully registered and you're now in our securities industry. Welcome. And now you can go on to the blessings as we discussed earlier with that. So I love it. The reason that now I have Brian who people tell me, Dean, don't take it personal, but I'm unsubscribing from your channel. Yeah. You won't see me on Tuesdays anymore. Connor, you're always welcome as a victorious test taker to join us any Tuesday because it's so good for morale. But I get it. But I also get, Connor, people tell me they're not going to unsubscribe. Woo! And they're still going to maybe show up on a Tuesday and give some motivation to other test takers. So thank you so much for joining us, and kudos on all those victories, those testing victories. All right, let's see.
That sure feels good, huh?
Yeah, I have people, Brian, who tell me when they get all done, they wake up and they're kind of lost because they're used to studying for, they got a routine that now is over. I certainly can do that. So first thing about advanced option strategy, Thiago, I hope I'm saying that right, Thiago, is you have to be able to identify the strategy, even if that wasn't a test question. I just told you it is. You're just going to be staring at it going, I don't know. So a straddle is DOSA. Different options, same action. So you have two types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. So a straddle, you're straddling a strike price line, is again, different option contract, same action, buy, or sell. There's 4 test questions about a straddle. I just gave you the first one. Can you identify a straddle? The second test question, Thiago, is can you calculate the break-evens? It's the only strategy on your exam where you have 2 break-evens. You have an upside break-even and a downside break-even. The way you do that is you take the strike price plus total premium, call up, strike price minus total premium, put down. That gives you your 2 break-evens. The third test question about a straddle, Thiago, is where is the straddle profitable? We have a great memory aid device for that called Silo. Short inside, long inside. If we're short, we want the market price of the stock to be inside of those 2 numbers. If we're long, we want it outside of those 2 numbers. And our last test question about a straddle is when do we use a straddle? We buy a straddle when it's volatility. We expect volatility, but direction's uncertain. Here's a Thiago, a straddle I did that came through for me. The company had hired a new CEO, and I thought he was either going to fix their problems, in which case I thought the stock was going up, or he's not going to fix their problems, in which case I think the stock is going down. I don't think the stock is staying still. I bought both a call and a put. My put expired worthless, but my call came through. It was above my break even. Here's another straddle I did, Thiago. Court case. I thought either the company's going to win this court case, in which case I think the stock's going up, or they lose the stock court case, in which case the stock goes down. They settled out of court, the stock roared. My put expired worthless. If I sell a straddle, I expect it to stay within the trading range. These are seductive. Brian, do you think Apple's going to stay between 275 and 235 between now and December? There's a way to profit. That would be a short straddle on Apple. The danger in a short straddle is it has unlimited loss potential. So those are our 4 test questions on straddle. A spread is a lot more involved. There are 8 potential test questions on a spread. Test question number 1, can you identify it? Soda. Same option, different action. So Brian's got it there on his whiteboard, right? Same option, call, or put, different action, buy, sell. Spread always means difference. We talked about this before. I say to Brian, hey, what's the spread on the game tonight? What I'm asking Brian is, what is the bet I can make on the difference in the scores? And somebody wants to make it outside that. Some people want it inside. We're betting on the difference, right? So second test question about a spread is, can you identify it as debit or credit? Are you buying the spread? Are you selling the spread, debit or credit? Exercise or expire, right? Do you want the contracts to be exercised, or do you want the contracts to expire? If it's a debit spread, you want to be able to exercise. Credit, you want it to expire. Widen or narrow? Do you want the difference in premiums widen or narrow? I just posted a video today on widen or narrow. It was a debit spread and the difference was 6. Now it's 9. They made 3. That's the hardest part to get. I don't think you really need to get it. For example, Thiago, credit has 6 letters, expire has 6 letters, narrow has 6 letters. That's always going to be correct. They go together. Debit, exercise, wide. If you're wide like Dean, you need to exercise. Debit, exercise, wide, and goes together all the time. Like Mountain Dew, Nike, just do it. Max gain, max loss always equals the difference in the strikes. And you already have either the gain or loss. A debit, you got the loss. Credit, you have the gain, the balance of that. Break even, test taking trick, somewhere between the 2 strikes. All the action takes place between the strikes. So in your test, you can eliminate any break even that isn't somewhere between, the 2 strikes. And then we're bullish or bearish, the larger premium dominates, and that's so we know where we want the market price in terms of that. Now, here in this live stream, it's very difficult, but I'll link to a video called Don't Hate the 8 with these 8 questions and how I illustrate it, or you can put it into the channel search bar, and then you'll see all kinds of spreads and tutoring sessions come up with me walking people through it. Okay, now a combination is just a straddle with different strike prices. You wouldn't do anything differently. I shouldn't even tell you that's what it is. If I didn't tell you there's such a thing as a combination, and you just identified it as straddle, calculated break evens, where it's profitable, you would be correct. Brian, do you have anything to add to that? You have your beautiful whiteboard there.
You just said it. I'm going to rail on textbooks again, like I normally do.
Yeah.
They're very difficult to understand, options that is, through those textbooks. You have to watch either Dean's videos or my videos to help you simplify, see these things. Almost every comment that Dean just made was a practical application for the Series 7 test and test questions. That's what you need. Not 87 pages of hypothetical textbooks. You need somebody to visually hear it and write it out. Watch Dean's videos, watch my videos, watch both videos, whatever. It will be much easier for you.
Yeah, if you go to my options playlist, the first 4 videos, Thiago, are much watched. I have probably 200, 300 option videos. But the first 4, first video is basic options. The second is basic option strategies. So the first one is vocabulary, nomenclature. Third one is stock plus options. The fourth one is advanced options. So we have lots and lots of content for you as it relates to options. Just an email, Brian, regarding class notes. Again, thank you guys so much. Praying to get done with this as soon as possible. Well, and Jay, good news. JP Morgan is a fine firm. Jamie Dimon is a living legend in our business. Jake, I'll tell you a quick JP Morgan story. In our book club, we try and pick books that are appropriate to the securities industry. And one of the books we did was Michael Dell's memoir. And Michael Dell was telling about we needed financing for this acquisition. And a legendary banker at JP Morgan had passed on suddenly. And he was in charge of syndicating loans. And that was the guy Michael Dell was working with. In his memoir, he said he thought the younger men and women at JP Morgan were competent, but he said, man, I'm going to this meeting and, I don't quite have this financing in place. And and so he says he shows up, and unbeknownst to him, Jamie Dimon shows up. And he says, hey, Michael, I wanted to be here with you for this meeting. Is that okay? And Michael Dell says, of course, that's okay. And he said they got to the discussion of whether he had the money to close, to the board of this company that Michael Dell wants to buy. And he said he wasn't sure how to answer that. And he said, and Jamie Dimon answered instead. Jamie Dimon said, I'm his banker, and he's got the money. I thought, oh, man. Now, I think, Jake, if you ever try and get Michael Dell away from JP Morgan as a customer, don't think it's going to happen. Right? Because he said, and then the board, this is, a lot of reputation is in banking. And he said, the board just said, hey, Jamie says you got the money. What? That's good enough for us. So you're going to a great legendary firm. When I get, yeah, very much so. Very much so. Many more questions about investment advisors and how we register, and if not, why not, and investment advisor reps, if not, why not. So absolutely. Failed the 7 with 64%. 1 hour time left. Wow. Past the 99, 45 minutes left. Well, those are entirely different dragons. The 99 is kind of a puff the magic dragon. It doesn't really breathe fire. I got 3 options, 10 options suitability. I only had 1 question on true suitability. Okay, well, every draw is a little different. I'm wishing for everybody here a dream draw. Everything you studied shows up. And you go, I don't know what the big deal is, but we got to be able to take down both the dream draw and a face of death draw. Where you're going, oh my God, right? I'm not sure wasted knowledge. I don't know if there's such a thing as wasted knowledge. I guess maybe you don't get to apply the knowledge, but I don't like that kind of attitude in this regard. We should think anytime we can get some new knowledge and learn new things, that it's a renewable, evergreen kind of a thing. So I feel 18CH. I don't know what CH means. Chapters. What's that?
Chapters. Oh,
okay. Of wasted knowledge. Okay. Well, I don't know what to say about that. I don't like the just can. I just don't like the that's how text is, isn't it? We don't get to see on the video screen. I just don't like that. I don't like anybody who tells me they think the 18 chapters are wasted knowledge. I don't know who your test prep vendor is. It Kaplan? By the way, it could only be wasted knowledge perhaps on this draw, on a different Series 7 draw. Maybe those 18 chapters are going to be the difference. Brian, are you with me? I just don't like that. I don't know why I don't like it.
Yeah, I would like a lot more information.
Yeah.
Not a lot to read from that.
Oh, the 10 is a real slog, Lily. We're with you in spirit, man. I took the 9, failed by 2 questions. Nervous to take the 10. On which I'd be leading up to the test. My practice, high 60s. I like that. I have a 10 practice test where you can watch me do it and ride along and hit, whether you think the answers, and I explicate it. I, kind of riff on it a little bit. But try that, see what you're doing. I like your high 60s. I like March 10th. I think the 10 is right up there with the 65 in terms of the lacking a narrative thread to it. And it's a lot of stuff. So I wish I could be more helpful. Any recommendations on what I should be leading up to? Well, it sounds like what you're doing, laying base, doing practice quizzes, doing practice tests, remediation. I think the high 60s, I don't know who your test prep vendor is. I'd like to know that as well. We can add a little bit to that, but I'd like you to be in the mid 70s. And that comes from executing that whole study process we talked about. 1 hour left. I think we did that one already. Just came last week. I saw those raised eyebrows. Yeah,
I raised my eyebrows a lot.
Perhaps already done SIE 7 Kaplan for all 3. Should I focus more on niche topics these last few days, or BD? No, I'd stay on the broad avenues and highways of the information, Garrett. So if you don't have Brian's help on distillation, Brian has been kind enough to allow us to put on the channel his practice test for the 66. And I would definitely go to that practice test playlist, find the Test Geek practice test for 66, see if it confirms those scores. I think it will. I think you're going to be in good shape. And I don't want you going down. Niche topics to me means rabbit holes. So I don't like that. Right. So if that's not what you mean, I'm okay with that. If you say, but I would say, no, I want you to stay on the broad avenues and highways of the information. Your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah. And again, strong scores, no doubt.
You're looking good. Looking good.
On the practice finals, I hope.
Looking
right?
Good.
Make sure you remediate them. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but that's where it should point you where to study. Don't speculate on which topics you should do. Use the performance tracker to tell you where you should.
Right. The more you can identify that stuff and not be slushing around all over the place, the better. How's my 7? Woo! Yay! You and another tutor were so helpful. Oh my goodness, Michael, you're not monogamous? How could you cheat on me? No, I'm joking. Listen, nobody's monogamous in their study effort. If somebody can drag you across the finish line, more power to them. Everybody has a different style. And so, Michael, thanks so much. I'm not sure if I got tutored with me. I understand I'm expensive. I'm $425 an hour, and I'm most of the time sold out. So if you did tutor with me, thank you so much. I'm glad I was helpful. But remember, I have all kinds of free content too. So I mean, if you don't have $425, I got accused of taking money from people who don't have it. I told the person, I'll leave that to you. I don't take money from anybody who doesn't have it. And if they don't have it, I have all kinds of free stuff, tutoring replays, stuff like that. All right. Woohoo. Take the SIE tomorrow. Stressing. Well, I don't know why you're still here, Brett. The biggest thing you can do tonight is get some rest. You went to reading skills in top form tomorrow. So I want you to be confident in the execution of your study plan, be confident in yourself, and most importantly tomorrow, be confident in those answers. Don't be changing answers. Walking in, but please, the days of cramming the night before an exam are over. It is counterproductive. I know a tiger can't change their stripes, and Brian, we know people that still are going to do what we tell them not to do and stay up till 1 or 2, even though we wish they would not. So I want you to get a good night's rest. That's the biggest recommendation I can make for you. There you go. I love it. Send them some good testing vibes. I like it. Let's go. Study my Series 7 on Past Perfect with Vanguard. But I love Vanguard, another great firm. So you're going to be a crew member at Vanguard. A legendary founder, John Bogle. Every book he ever wrote, you should definitely read. I find it hard to be able to remember all the information that's going on. Well, again, we got to bring up the caboose. So Brian and I believe that you should always be bringing up the caboose. What do we mean by that? You do Unit 1. You either watch a video and then you read it to put a dent in the reading of Past Perfect, or you do the Past Perfect, watch the video to consolidate the reading. Then you do a quiz of 25, 30 questions. 75% or better, you move on to Unit 2. If you don't get 75%, repeat. You got to remediate. You go into Unit 2, you don't rinse and repeat, because when you get done with Unit 2, video to dent the reading or video after reading, consolidate. You do your practice quiz, and here we go with what the answer to your question is. You don't move on to Unit 3. You do a custom quiz of Unit 1 and 2, bringing up that caboose every time. Unit 3, 75, custom quiz, Unit 1, 2, 3. Unit 4, custom quiz. By the time you get done with that, Jared, you'll almost be doing a practice exam. And then when you get done, you'll do your practice exam. So that's how I believe you bring up the caboose and keep remembering the stuff that came in Unit 1. It's the other reason, Jared, we don't like people taking until mid-July to take the test, because you're more likely, if you've got a test date that's way out there, to start forgetting stuff. So we do want you to cram. Your thoughts on that one, Brian?
Yeah. Finding it hard to be able to remember all the information, join the club. That's what we all have, that exact same problem. And Dean was just trying to tell you what we all then should do: reiterate, bring up the caboose, reiterate.
Jared, have you had this happen, Brian? Jared, I've been tutoring and forgot something, and I know they think, what an idiot. This tutor doesn't know this thing. I go, no, it'll come back to me. So sometimes that happens, Jared, even when you're testing. So when it leaves you, like even when it leaves me, I go, oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot this. Don't panic. I will astral project it back to you. It might take a minute or two, but sometimes it's like, Jared, compare it to like driving. Have you ever done this? You're on the road and then you forget where you've been in the last hour. You go, oh my God, I can't remember where I came from and where I'm at. So it happens. It's a part of the process. I don't think, Jared, I don't make you feel better that misery loves company, but that you're not unique in this regard.
That's right. It's part of the process. We've all been there. Yeah.
Well, 55 is not bueno. So as we just said, that means you shouldn't be moving on and doing more quizzes. You should be remediating whatever that quiz was on, because those quizzes should be in the mid 70s before you move on to new information. So I love that we got some data from you.
And again, those quizzes, I always tell people when people email me with scores like this, they go, man, I don't know if I can remember everything. I'm getting 55s to 89s and everything in between. Have you been through all of the chapters? Well, now it's time to take a simulated exam.
Yeah.
Let's see, right?
Yeah, sometimes people
where those weak spots
are. Jared, and some people wait way too long. How many times, Brian, have somebody waited too long to transition to practice test, and now they got 2 or 3 days left and they're still doing quizzes? Not bueno. So I love that. We got the 66. Could you go over a quick overview of federal and state exemptions? Um, where they overlap, where they're the same. I don't think this lends itself well to that discussion. That would be another hour. We're already running over, and I know Brian has been kind enough to grant us his time. And so I'm going to say no. I'm going to refer you to a video, right? Federal and state exemption. The video I'm referring you to, Liam, is Who's Your Daddy? It's a very popular video, and it's either the SEC or the state. And I go over this. I also have the Mighty 90 on the Uniform Securities Act, and I would do that. Now, I would tell you where they overlap. I'm going to flip your question. The one that I think is unique. So what does exempt mean? Let's just start there. I'll give you a broad overview in this setting. Exempt means we're not making a registration statement with either the SEC or the state or, right? And that means we're selling unregistered securities, and that's kind of a red flag. And so the SEC says, Dean, did you sell brand new securities to the public without making a registration statement? I say yes. Either it was an exempt transaction or exempt security. Let's focus on the exempt security. It was a private placement, Reg D. It was Reg A. It was Rule 147. That's the one I would point out to you. Rule 147, I don't have to make a registration statement with the SEC, but I'm still going to have to register through qualification with the state. So I would flip it and tell you that's the one that's kind of unique. And then Rule 147, the 80% of business assets, residents, that kind of thing. The big exempt securities for 33 are governments and munis. So that would be the ones. Anything you want to add to that, Brian? I think that's
not in this forum. It's just too long.
Yeah. Michael, I think I answered that. I would certainly recommend the Uniform Securities Act video that I have. It's a Mighty 90. You can find it there. I would definitely check out the Brian video that everybody loves and contributes to a lot of testing victories called Definitions of Persons. That's there, and I would definitely recommend that as well. And then the Series 6 in 63 and 60 minutes. So there you go. 80s, 90s. Wow, man, that's fantastic. STC is a fine firm. You should be in really good shape. Taking the 3 weeks out. I love it. Love it. All right. Woo! Again, here's another one, Ben. Brian, we're getting all these kinds of people that are doing the SIE and 66 out of sequence. Yep. Now, remember, the SIE and 66 don't require sponsorship. And so my guess is that the firms are saying, we'll sponsor you for the 7 once you get your SIE and 66. 66. All right. So you're done. Woo! You've completed your test taking registration hat trick. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Looks like we're here ready for the drawing. I have realized I need an in-person class to prepare effectively. My test is next Monday. Well,
that's going to be hard to do.
I don't know how I'm going to make that happen. I don't know how. Listen, I just think this is a totally unreasonable expectation. I'm not sure why you think I can arrange a class before next Monday. The only option you have is tutoring, and I'm completely sold out between now and then. So I don't know what to tell you. I think you're going to have to go to review videos, go to my Series 7 cram course. That is video replay of a 4-day class, and maybe that's what you do. Or buy Brian's Test Geek supplement. That's a complete overview of the 7. I would recommend that. That's $100, give or take.
It feels like you're in class.
Yeah, I think so. Brian teaches it just like he teaches a class. So I guess that's what I would tell you. I think based on your timing here, I think Test Geek is the best solution. And send Brian an email, brian@testgeekexamprep.com, or just buy his video series. What's it come in with the discount? I think $105 or something.
103.
Yeah, so there you go, $100. That beats even tutoring with Dean for $425 an hour. So, and Brian, sometimes I'm not making any promises on his behalf again, but Brian, if you buy his course, he will return a phone call perhaps and help you if you have issues with his video. So maybe you might get some access to Brian. You better hurry because he's going to Maui Saturday.
I'm going to Maui on Saturday.
I doubt he's going to be picking up calls from students. If he does, Stacy, his significant other, might give him grief. Consultative maturity. Okay, I got 2 explications for videos that I'll put up either tonight or tomorrow morning, probably tomorrow morning. So take a look on that. I'll write that down.
hold to maturity? It's a great question. It's a classic series.
Almost always, by the way. You might want to check. Put convertibles into my channel search bar. It's very likely I've actually done that question before. So if you put convertibles in there, parity, there's probably 20 videos. I wouldn't be surprised if that actual question is already on the channel in video form. Past the 7. Woohoo! Hey, Dean, I'm currently studying for the 66. The 7. 66. Notman's a fine firm. Watch videos. We'll go to this 7 playlist or 66 playlist. I have 4 playlists. The definitely one to chart with is the podcast series Brian and I did. It's available on Spotify. It's on the channel. It's on the series 66. So check out that playlist for sure. Howder's Kaplan, I told you it's about 12 points harder. So, you should pick up 68. I think should be like 72, 73. I did poorly, really did poor. So hitting those areas, love it. That's what you do. Remediation. Is there easier test on the SIE? I'm not sure I understand the question. Is there easier test on SIE? Does it depend on what you pick, or is it just out of luck? The draws are completely random. Let me say it again, completely random. Now, within that, I joke that you might get a face of death draw or a dream draw, but you should be able to take down any draw. But there is some random, nature to it. 30-10 suitability. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. I'm not sure what to tell you about that. Well, I have no idea what to tell you about it. Like I said, it's a random draw. That seems a little heavy. Don't you think 40 option questions is heavy, Brian? I mean, I've never heard of that before. So, and then I don't like the idea that you didn't get tests on those chapters. Just Kane, here's what I tell you. If you missed your mark, those 18 chapters, if you blow them off, might bite you in the butt next time. So I just don't like this idea that we're wasting time. And I can't imagine. So this just is outside of my experience that there's 18 chapters in any test prep vendors that are wasted. I just find I have a hard time, accepting that. Right. So on every level, mentally, emotionally, right? Can you, Brian, think of any test prep vendor as 18?
No, I know textbooks go into superfluous content, right? But 18 chapters being a waste, boy, that's
Nick, I think I'm right with you, Nick. I mean, you're doing the right thing to stay fresh. Mother Nature does what she does. And so just keep it light. Like I say, we're circling the airport. We're not trying to burn too much fuel. Yeah. So just keep it light. Instead, that's how I would stay fresh. Okay, let's see. Looks like we're almost ready for a drawing here. 78, so I'm struggling with Unit 3. I'm not sure what Unit 3 is. Can you do a 30-second overview? Oh, absolutely. This is huge on every test. The difference between closed-end and open-end funds. I'm going to refer you to a video, but this is huge. I always joke when I'm teaching the class, I put the slide up on the difference in open and closed-end funds. I go, this is one of the most target-rich slides in the entire deck.
That's right.
The big ones is that open-end are continually offering new shares to the public. Closed-end funds trade supply and demand. And I don't know how many more I could do in 30 seconds. Open-end funds can only issue common shares. They can own preferred stock, own bonds, but they can't issue it. Closed-end funds can issue preferred stock. They can issue bonds. The way we say that as a test issue is open-end funds only have one class of equity. Closed-end funds can have more than one class of equity. They can have preferred. They can have debt. Brian, besides those two, what would you add to that 30-second overview? Very testable, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like visual learners, but those are the key terms that Dean just said. And they are on every test. Yeah. You got to
go find my, just put closed and open end in the search bar. Yes. And I have an entire carved out video on just the differences, right? Yeah. So just check that out. Very testable for everyone. So Brian may take exception what I'm going to say. I think you could blow off the insurance questions. If you're going to miss the mark, I don't think it's going to be insurance.
On insurance, I would look at annuities.
Yeah, no, I don't consider a variable annuity. So yeah, thank you, Brian. Let me correct myself. I'm not, when I say blow off insurance, I mean whole life and term and universal and variable life. I do not mean variable life.
Correct.
Very testable. And I think variable life is a mutual fund with an insurance wrapper. That is very testable on all exams. So, so let's just be clear what I said there. Anyways, though, I don't know what to tell you. I hate insurance. I joke. Insurance agents sell fear. Stockbrokers sell greed. I was a stockbroker. I say, Brian, wouldn't life be wonderful if? Greed. Insurance agents say, Brian, something happens to you. What are you going to do? Now, I joke, if you're duly registered, you can sell both fear and greed.
Yay!
I can sell you both. Failed 2 times. What do you suggest I do the pass this time? Well, I wish you were not talking to me on a Tuesday about testing on a Friday. I have a video. You failed. Is it over? Spoiler alert. The answer is no. But I wouldn't be doing the same thing you did the previous 2 times. I unfortunately, Kayla, think you are bringing this to us with too late to tell you what to do Wednesday, Thursday. So what you've already done is going to have to be what you go with between now. If you didn't do the FINRA SIE practice test, go do that for sure. Go do Brian's practice test. On my SIE playlist for practice tests, I have all kinds of SIE practice tests. For sure, do my top doppelganger version of what I did is I took the SIE on their website, same answer sets, different questions. So go do that tomorrow for sure. Do Brian's Test Geek one for sure, but you don't have much time. So I'd get 2 more practice test scores. You didn't tell us what your practice test scores were. You didn't tell us what your fail scores were. So we're missing a lot of information here. But basically, tomorrow is the only day you got left, because Friday, you just got to kind of review stuff. Brian, your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
Kaplan videos and $2 tests. I've heard a lot about $2 tests, Brian, Kayla, but I haven't checked them out. So
I have not heard of them.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot more about them. Yeah. Make your own flashcards. I believe in making your own flashcards because that's part of the process. And you can then say, honey, if you're trying to get rid of a significant other, say, hey, honey, can you run the flashcards with me? And that might get rid of somebody who's bothering you. I know Quizlet, but I don't think buying them. Bradley, somebody bought some and they showed them to me. And oh my God, what a waste. The vendor had to determine. And on the back of the flashcard was 3 paragraphs of information, which to me is not a flashcard. I think a good source for flashcards would be the glossary, right? For example, X date. The other side of my flashcard says the first date on which a stock no longer trades with the dividend attached, right? The X date's the same as the record. So I think making your own. I had Bradley, somebody who I told he should make some flashcards, and then I found out that he had his assistant do the flashcards for him, which I thought was stupid. All right, looks like we're ready for our drawing. So Brian, let me go get the Wheel of Fortune. If you want to participate in the drawing, don't put what Brian puts on his board into the chat until I get the Wheel of Fortune up, because it won't pick it up. So you got to wait. Give me just a little bit to put it in. So what is going to be our thing for tonight, Brian?
East Coast folks, I'm with you, man.
Was it a blizzard or a cyclone?
Same thing. The cyclone caused the blizzard.
Okay, so there we go. So put that into the chat. Now, remember, if you win, you do not win tutoring at a date and time of your choice. You go to the class tab at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. Let me put that on there. And then you can book the coaching call from there. And there we go. And let me go find the Wheel of Fortune. Share screen. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. And let's see. Should I remove us? I'll leave us there for him. All right. We got nobody who wants to win a coaching call. Oh, man, I feel unloved. Cyclone. That's how it should go in there. There's somebody. Well, just Kate. It looks like you and me, I guess. Now we got some people there.
There you go.
Shows we got we have 50 people in the live stream, so we should have some more participants. 9. Do I hear 10? Do I hear 10? There's 10. Now, I think I just did a coaching call, so I don't think I have the tab up. So give me today or tomorrow to put the tab up. And if you don't see it, you just send me an email at dean@googleexamprep.com, and I'll make sure you get it. 11, is that it? We got 40 now. Looks like we got 44 people. Some people logged off. That's amazing. We have 44 people and only 10, 11 people want a coaching call. Okay, well, it is what it is. I mean, all right, here we go. Let's do the drawing.
Drum roll, please.
Okay, L. Arnold at 11. I like your avatar there. So don't go there tonight. I don't think I have the tab up yet. So just give me till tomorrow morning, and you'll have a coaching call tab, and then you'll get a video link. And then when you hit your Zoom, I'll show up, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. All right. So as I always say, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. And Brian, you say,
keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday. Oh, I will see you next Tuesday because Brian will be, in a hula, eating a roasted pig, right? A roasted pig with a pineapple in his.
Or something, yeah.
Maybe you can check in. Just say, hey, we'll see you.
Nah.
No? Okay. All right, everybody. I will see you next Tuesday. Same bad time, same bad channel.